Not at all, Stephen. In fact, we are, as you say, delighted that this report has been commissioned. We believe that this report has come about because of the hard work that the GSD has done in pressurising the government, and indeed that the public has done in pressurising the government to demonstrate that their plans for an LNG facility are safe. Where I disagree with what the government have said, and particularly what the Chief Minister has said, is that this is an additional measure over and above work that they had already done with respect to the safety of this project. This, to my mind, is a fundamental measure that needed to be taken and should have been taken 3 years ago before contracts were awarded and before the proposals reached this stage. I think that just indicates how poorly this project has been managed from the very start.
Well, the government has pointed out, of course, that there are other safety reports in the offing. They've mentioned, for example, the one by the Health and Safety Laboratory in the UK, and we know that other reports are being prepared by the commercial entities that are interested in this project. So really, this is one more to add to the list.
You say one more. We are yet to see a single report. We are assured that the project is completely safe. We have grave doubts that the project is completely safe, or certainly safe enough to be acceptable in the locations that are being proposed. But certainly we hear much talk of other reports. We have yet to see a single report published. In fact, the only report that has been published is the report produced by on behalf of the GSD.
Well, the GSD's position has consistently been that you won't build an LNG facility because you say that the risks are too high. If the Lloyd's report that the government has now commissioned says that the risks aren't in fact that great, are you open to changing your mind?
I think we'd need a great deal of persuading to convince us that it is safe enough to be located in that particular location in the port, or indeed almost any location within the port, which would be close to homes, close to schools and close to the hospital. The way, and we do wait for what the Lloyd's report says, of course we do, and we're not going to try and seed the debate before that with unnecessary doubts, but the way risk assessment works, and as the Chief Minister was at pains to point out yesterday, I do this for a living to some extent. The way risk assessments work is you look at the likelihood of an event happening and you look at the consequences and you derive a balance of those two, and all you can do in terms of reducing risk is reduce the likelihood. The hazard, the consequence, will always remain the same. And as far as we're concerned, those consequences, again, unlike the Chief Minister saying there are no tangible risks, well, those consequences are very tangible. And if you're living next door to a facility like this, those consequences are very, very tangible indeed. So, as I say, we're not going to ignore any future reports. We keep an open mind, but we need a great deal of persuading to convince us that this is the right location for an LNG facility.
That sounds rather like you're preparing the ground for a U-turn. I've seen a post that you've put up on social media where you accuse the government of various U-turns on this issue. Are you preparing for one of your own?
Absolutely not. As I say, we have to keep an open mind. That's the reasonable and the sensible thing to do. But we will need a great deal of persuading, and nothing we've seen so far convinces us that this is the right location.
Okay, and in the absence of that report, we don't know when we're going to get it, of course. What is the GSD's position today as regards power generation? Would you still envisage returning to Lathbury Barracks and building a diesel-powered power station?
We're on the record as saying that would be our preferred option, moving the power generating facilities away from the town area, away from populated areas, which also has knock-on health benefits to those living downwind of such a facility.
Even if that means destroying the bunkering industry in Gibraltar?
Well, I don't see why it would destroy the industry. The two things are very separate. The need to generate power in Gibraltar is very urgent indeed. The need to create an LNG bunkering industry is less urgent. In fact, their own experts have said at a conference taking place here in Gibraltar that really LNG bunkering won't take off for another 20 years or so. So we have a good period of time to consider, if indeed we choose to enter that business, how to do it, where to do it, and how to ensure that it's done in a way that does not compromise the safety of the people of Gibraltar.
Finally, don't you think that people in Gibraltar are very confused on this issue and getting more confused at each turn, and that the GSD bears a large element of responsibility for that, because you've made this the big issue for you in the run-up to the election?
Well, I think this is one of a number of issues that we have spoken about. There's public finance. there's the stadium, all big issues for the upcoming election. I think this is a very visceral issue because it clearly affects people's safety, and that is something that people are very concerned about. I don't think we've done anything to confuse the issue. We've brought it to the public attention, which was absolutely the right thing to do. We are now having a debate. We are trying to keep the debate to the issue. We're not straying from the issue, and we're not getting personal about people. We are just trying to keep the debate to the issue and explain to the public what our concerns have been. And I think that's been very well received.